Welcome. My name is Henning Piezunka. I'm an assistant professor at INSEAD in the entrepreneurship department. Today, with us, Randy Komisar, senior partner at Kleiner Perkins. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me, Henning.
How does the decision process look like to say, we invest in this company?
So we have a team of associate partners, junior partners, who spend a lot of time sourcing. So they're out there actively finding interesting projects and bringing them in. We also have a number of projects which come in through email every day. Nothing comes in mail or fax anymore. So everything's coming in through email. And as a partner, what I will do is review the companies that my junior partners think are important for me to review. If something comes to me through email, I will generally refer to my junior partners to vet out first, get a sense of whether this is something we should spend time with. And if it comes through a trusted source, somebody who knows me well, who has recommended the project to me, I'll take the meeting directly. So if trusted source, I'll meet with them first. If it comes in another way, usually I'll have an associate partner meet with them. If the associate partner thinks that it's an interesting person or an interesting project, then I will take a meeting. And usually that meeting is just me and the associate partner and the entrepreneur. If we then think it's interesting, we have two different paths that we follow. One is we can fast track it and say, look, let's present it to the investment group, the general partners, to decide whether or not we want to proceed with this in an aggressive way. Or we can take a slower track, which is to do some due diligence, maybe get a subcommittee of the general partners together to ask the key questions that we need to be resolved, and then put together a package that addresses those, and then present that to the partners. Then the partners vote. Usually there's a presentation by the entrepreneur to the full partnership, after which we as a partnership meet and tabulate what we think are the strengths and the weaknesses of this project and the strengths and the weaknesses of the team. And then we vote. But it's interesting to understand what that vote is. That vote is not a majority vote rules. It is instead really more like a set of opinions. So if I'm the lead partner and I've brought it this far, it means I've got conviction. Then if my partners maybe feel like my conviction is misplaced, they may illustrate for me all of the problems that they see in the deal. They may say that they would not do the deal if it was their deal. I still have the choice to do the deal, in spite of the fact that my majority of my partners may decide that it's a deal that they wouldn't do. I need to take into account their points of view, but I may decide to do the deal anyway. If I do, there's a lot of responsibility on my shoulders because I've done it in conflict with the best opinion of the partners. But the majority does not necessarily rule. And in fact, what we find is in our best investments usually come in very close calls or significant conflicts amongst the partners. If all the partners agree, yes or no, it's usually not a good decision.
Why is that?
I think it's because the best ventures usually challenge the status quo and status quo thinking in ways that create natural skepticism. And so we've got a lot of smart people around the table, and if we're not creating natural skepticism, usually the idea isn't disruptive enough. A disruptive idea is going to create some natural skepticism amongst a number of people. When I did Nest, when I did RPX in the patent space, in neither case did I have a majority of the partners supporting me in doing those deals. But nevertheless, I had permission to do them, and both of them turned out to be quite lucrative for our limited partners.
So it's really a little bit this, Peter Thiel has kind of advocated this strongly, this kind of contrarian question, right? Tell me something you believe to be true, others believe to be false. So it's really, you encourage this basically, these kind of ideas by setting up a certain voting structure.
That's right.
Okay.
In fact, it's important to realize how we go about the voting structure. There's a lot of different ways that these venture firms operate in the Valley. Some will do literally a vote around the table, and they'll tally the votes. Some will do an anonymous vote. We actually do something which I brought to the partnership when I came some 12 years ago now, that I think is the best way to get the best opinions around the table. And that is, rather than asking for a vote, the first thing we do is a chart on the board of the pluses and minuses, the risks and questions. And so everybody around the table, before indicating what their opinion is, share their views of the strengths and weaknesses. So even if my predilection is against the deal, I will be indicating what I think the strengths of the deal are, so that everybody around the table sees the same data and then exercises their judgment. So what it does is it takes out of the process the notion that somebody may have a different set of facts or a different set of experiences than everybody else around the table. It unifies the facts that we're looking at and then recognizes that people may have different judgment, but not different facts.
So there's some research by Andy Wu, which looks at when it happens that partners kind of make an individual investment where the partnership does not invest. Does that happen? Is that a very common thing? Does that happen at Kleiner Perkins, that you as a partnership would say, not for me, and then you as an individual would say, I still go for it?
We don't do that at Kleiner Perkins because we feel it's a conflict with the interests of our limited partners. We feel like it is inappropriate for us to allow a partner to make an investment separate from the partnership. So we discourage that. In fact, it hasn't happened while I've been there, except in special circumstances where we've allowed a partner to be part of an investment, but not to take a position contrary to the investment.
Can you elaborate a little bit why that is a conflict of interest?
Well, because we see it as the fact that as a partnership, we have a fiduciary obligation to maximize the returns to our investors, and we want all the we do not want there to be a sense of schism between the partners in terms of what we think the portfolio should look like. We can have different opinions, but we all have to embrace one portfolio.
Give me a feeling for your motivation as an investor, right? There's obviously a financial dimension to it, right? You look at an investment and say like, hey, this is going to take off, this is going to be great, we're going to make a bunch of money. Would it be fair to say that there's also like, I don't know, a technological fascination that you kind of want to foster kind of certain areas? Can you elaborate a little bit on what kind of gets you to invest in a business or gets you excited about something?
Well, I think every investor is idiosyncratic. I'm probably more idiosyncratic than most. I frankly do not look first and foremost at whether the venture is going to make me a lot of money. That is not my first criteria. My first criteria is, does it solve a meaningful problem? Is it going to make a difference? Is it going to have impact that is going to get me excited, enthusiastic about working hard on the project, and is going to make me proud if the project's successful? So I will not invest in a company, even if the company has a very, very strong likelihood of making money, if it's doing something that I don't care about. In particular, I won't invest in a company if it's doing something that I disagree with. So first and foremost, I look for problems to solve. That's the first criteria. Big problems where I can have an impact. Number two is I look for people who share my values and who I believe I can make a positive and constructive contribution to in their own development as leaders and as entrepreneurs. So I need to find that chemistry with the founding team. Even if they're solving a big problem, if I don't have that chemistry where I feel like I share their values, if I'm going to be willing to take that distress call at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night, if I don't feel that level of engagement with the person, I won't do it. Third, I need to find value creation, not a business model, but value creation. And the reason I differentiate between value creation and business model is it's my job to create a business model. I'm a student of business models. That's what I bring to the table, is the application of business models to a unique value proposition. So I look for big problems, people who I share values with and who I believe in, and a proposition where I can create significant value and hopefully develop a business model around that.
The way you describe this is you work with people you like, who you have a joint value system and so on. And so I wondered, in most cases it still happens that the venture goes nowhere, right? Yes. The venture fails. How often does it happen that you continue to work with people on like new ventures or later on, or bring them into other ventures? Is that a frequent phenomenon, or?
Well, in my career, I've tended to work with the same people or with a small group of people who are one degree separated for almost 30 years. There's always new people coming into the fold, But by and large, if I have that relationship with them, if they're doing interesting work, if they continue to have interesting ideas, I continue to work with them on whatever they're doing.
Thank you so much. This was a truly great pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me. INSEAD is a fantastic experience. I've really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And thanks for this discussion.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.